I'm going to try my best not to laugh throughout this whole process because I woke up today and my cell phone just loaded with all this Project Veritas crap, and what I guess is breaking news to I guess normal people. I don't know if it's fairly to say SJ society, but I think most people involved in typology they don't really follow MSM, and are a little more aware of reality in some ways, at least more honest with themselves. And it's just so funny. It's like because everyone's like, "Oh, ABC, squashed the story and didn't go with it," and because their because their corporate heads and sponsors did not like it. Well, of course not. If it's on TV, okay, this is what people need to get across. I don't care if it's Fox, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CNN. They are controlled by who pays their bills and keeps their lights on. So they have to adhere to what their sponsors want. So, what are their sponsors mainly? What brings them in revenue? So why couldn't they not cover the Jeffrey Epstein story? Because they were threatened with not being able to follow the royal family story, which generated a ton of income. Okay, the royals have a lot of dirt on them. They got Nazi connections. You got Jimmy Savile. I mean, it's like everyone's acting like these people are like this innocent. They're like, oh, we can't have Jeffrey Epstein connected with the royal family. Really? Who gives a shit? I mean, Jeffrey Epstein in the alternative circles of media, we've been talking about him 10 plus years. I mean, this isn't news. This is literally really, really old. It's just crazy to me. And so when you're watching TV news, and typically speaking, if you are, you're more likely in an airport or you're over 70 years old. There are a lot of brain damaged people who still watch TV news and actually believe what they see, and then they're like, oh, Donald Trump's going to lose by 97% to Hillary Clinton. When anybody watching, any kind of real media knew that he was going to win in a landslide, which he did, and took a bunch of states and a lot of things like that because the popularity was ridiculous. I mean, you could just objectively look at his campaigns and see how many people he was drawing to them. And then you saw like Hillary campaigns where she was sick and dying and nobody was there because nobody was going to give a shit about her. But the media, being propped up, which was completely released, was it WikiLeaks, connected, Donna Brazil and all those people to mainstream news, literally being manipulated and controlled by the DNC. And this is not, Fox is no different. I mean, I'm not be bipartisan here. Fox is controlled by the Guard in a lot of ways. And so Fox is like Rhino News, it's like the Rhino Romney, Paul Ryan, Rhino, and those guys, that neocon, McCain, those people, that's like Fox News, it's not even really, I mean, myself, I'm a libertarian, my boyfriend is, a Bernie bro, and so I'm very pretty well versed on what people are wanting, or what they believe in, which is great. I think all thought should be out in the open, and I'm very anti-censorship, and so that's all great. But back on the topic at hand, if it's on ABC, NBC, MSNBC, Fox, all interviews, all 100% of interviews are rehearsed or at least pre-planned ahead of time, and they're told exactly what they're allowed to say and what is not allowed to say. And you see it all the time. And like I think it was that Cuomo idiot was like listening to some guy and he was like giving a bunch of information and it was and it got cut and he's like, oh no, it's like we lost connection. Really? I mean, we're talking billion-dollar industries, well, they're propped up by billion-dollar industries. They literally are failing, and that's why they're legacy. They live off legacy. And so what they did in the past. And so anyways, the Project Veritas thing release is kind of funny. I mean, it really is just showing this decaying in the past, archaic legacy dinosaur media, and it's just it's done, and like we're just waiting for a certain generation to die. People such as myself, such as you, such as anybody, They go on the internet. You get your instant news from YouTubers, for instance, people who are going to be more direct with the people, and you can communicate with. So whether you're talking about Kyle Kalinske or you're talking to Sticks and Hammer 666 or people like that, you can literally send them comments and have interaction with these people. You can email them and send them stuff, and you might not even get a response. Okay, this is the route people are going. They don't give a damn about, ABC News and Morning Joe and all that crap. Those people are dying, or they're just like soccer moms, and like nobody really cares. And so that's my thoughts on this kind of stuff. And the Jeffrey Epstein cover up, of course it was covered up. You can't lose that kind of royal money, that income. We're not even discussing whether or not he was killed or not. We're just telling about like information in an interview being completely saying, hey, you cannot air this because it interferes with our sponsors. And so people need to realize that if you're reading medical journals, a lot of different studies and things like that, those guys all have sponsors too. And so there's a lot of corruption in a lot of different things. And so you can't just take anything as face value. Most of the time you're going to have to experiment with yourself and then compare it to all these different sources if you're really that interested. Okay, and so like with my story of hell, for instance, with Dr. Wallach, I didn't believe him at first, but I tried what he said myself, and it worked, and so now I'm a believer in what he teaches. It's that simple now. And so if you're watching ABC News and you're wanting to know what should I get the full schedule of vaccines or not, or should I pick and choose? Should I delay them or whatever as an objective parent? You can't just take them from face value because who sponsors ABC? Who sponsors NBC? And so everyone needs to get more responsible with their own actions. You can't just trust the media. You can't just trust big pharma, big agra, and just like say like, oh, just take it at face value. The experts say this, because that necessarily isn't the truth. And so those are my thoughts on Project Veritas and the world in general. I find this very funny. We got people up in arms and freaking out. This isn't news. This is old news. Yes, people have known about Jeffrey Epstein and his, Little Express and his sex island for a long time. When you're talking about elites and you're talking about like Bohemian Grove types and things like that, this is what you do. Because when you get up to that point, and everyone's like, oh, these are just sexually greedy people. No, they're not sexually greedy people. This is just about power, and so they're getting to do something that no one else gets to do that makes them special. And unfortunately, that means fucking kids, and there's a lot of pedophilia in the JW community, for instance, and people are like, oh, why would anybody want to do this? Because they can get away with it, and it was, incorrect and very, malicious and evil in a way, and they can get away with it. That's why, typically it's the elders, they get up there, they have all this power, they get twisted. I'm not going to sit here and explain mental illness in that sense, but these people exist out there. It's not the government's job to protect your children. It's not your church's job to protect your children. It's your job, And so you need to make, decisions that protect you and your family, and you can't rely on government, media, big pharma, big agra to make these decisions for you. All right, those are my comments on the ABC Project Veritas. It's all fake news.